What's up, wizards? It's Dev from the place in space with PowrDragn also in your face. I'm just going to spit bars today. We are going to do something that we have not done before because I don't think that
No.
I don't know that we've done this long enough to hit a rotation, like hang out together like this. So
Well, it's been 3 years or 2 years at least since we've had a
at
rotation.
least,
So, yeah.
yeah, it takes a while. And it's always kind of a sad, like a somber occasion when rotation hits. I mean, sure, there's some cards that we want to see gone, and we'll talk about that over on your channel. But over here on this side of the internet, we're going to be talking about cards that we will miss when they rotate. And let me just say this. We were talking about this a little bit before we got on. You said the same thing. It's kind of a tough list to make, like a
Yeah.
lot of cards, it's time, right? But I was still able to
Yeah.
come up with a few.
There were several that I looked at and said, "Man, I like this card, but I've also built like 20 decks with it."
Right.
I've also played 200 games with it or whatever. So I kind of just went, its time has come, and I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. So there's very few that I'm going to truly say like I miss, and I had to like really look for some cards to make this list.
Yeah, I think everyone that watches my content is going to be able to easily choose my number one. But beyond that, everything else is like, well, we had some good times.
Yeah.
And that's about it. That's fine, right? Like you're going to be an old friend, but I don't really have to call you anymore, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's like it. I'll
but
send you a birthday card.
exactly, like maybe we'll meet on in the historic brawl every now and again, or
Oh,
on
actually,
the
no, I just
commander
realized
table.
there was a recent rotation, but we didn't do this for that one because that was when was like Bloomberg and all that came out. Like
Yeah,
there was a
yeah.
rotation around that time, but we weren't doing this yet.
Just
So now,
didn't do
now we're
this.
doing it.
Right. Yeah, we had the idea. We figured we might as well act on it. And with that said, let's act on it. What is your number 5 card that you will miss?
My number 5, and I thought about this because I played it a lot, and I realized I just got over playing it probably in the last 9 months or so. Also realizing that it's become part of other decks that I don't necessarily enjoy.
Yeah, it annoys you enough now to where you can bump it down to number 5.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. Like it's sad, but Voldaren Thrill Seeker.
Ooh, this was also on my list. This was my number 4.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a
Yeah,
few that are the same,
I think we will too. Yeah, we're the
and
same guy.
I think the difference here is that when it came out, it was a fun and interesting card, right? Being able to
Yeah,
put counters on things, and you were still playing a bunch of +1/+1 counter stuff, and being able to fling things was neat. Didn't created these neat situations, but now it's just kind of part of combo-y things,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like we're trying
Soul
to get in the
Cauldron.
graveyard, yeah, exactly. With the
Yeah,
cauldron, do all that mess. We're not really having fun with the card anymore. We're just doing non-interactive magic things. So it's kind of like,
yeah.
all right, it's time for this card to go.
I mostly agree, but I think that I'm not quite as sick of Thrill Seeker. That's why it was my number 4 and not my number
Yeah.
5. I really enjoy playing the Soul Cauldron deck. Generally, I think there's a lot of like fun decisions in it, and Thrill Seeker is like my favorite card in Soul Cauldron. And it's one of the most important ones to get that
Oh,
deck,
sure.
some long game, some reach, and I think that deck's going to miss it for sure. But I'm going to miss it for all the times we had together from mono red all the way to Soul Cauldron and vampires. We built that deck when those were around, Crimson
Yeah,
Vow was
see,
in the format.
that's the thing for me. I'm gonna miss its first like year and a half I had with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Like,
last 6 months was a problem.
yeah, it's like you have a good relationship and things started to fall apart. And you're like, yeah, but I still remember the good old days.
Right.
Right? That's
You
sort
turn
of what
around
it
and
feels like.
they're always against you in that last 6 months. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're supposed to be on my side here. But anyway, that's a good pick there. I like
So
that.
what do you have for your number 5?
Well, this means that I get to use the card that I had on the bench for my number 5. I like that idea. My number 5 is a card that I'll probably see again on a commander table somewhere, sometime, and it's Sarah Paragon.
Ooh.
God, I love this little lady. I really do. And I haven't, I gotta say, I feel bad making this list because I haven't actually played this card in like 6 months. It's been a while. But looking through all the cards that are about to rotate, when I saw Sarah, I was like, oh, Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
we've done so many fun little dances together, from getting back like Field of Ruins over and over, little stuff like that, to just getting back like our 3-mana enchantments and our bomb 2-drops and stuff. Like Sarah has always done something cool, and she's been kind of out of fashion for a year or whatever. But there was a time where Sarah Paragon was in a bunch of different decks, and she almost formed the basis of her own like mono white deck for a second there. Just Sarah Paragon is a sick little card. I love the sort of mono white reanimation you can do. She gains you a little life here and there, and just really cool card, man.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing because I think both these cards sort of show how we can get tied up in the current meta a bit much, right? About how we use a card completely changes or just goes by the wayside because we all get locked in on other things.
Yeah, different strategy, right?
Yeah, and some of that is also a reflection of, I guess we'll call it the last era of the pre-bans that sort of pushed some of the stuff out of the way, and now we're having to rediscover these cards all over again.
Yeah. I feel like, Monsters Rage comes out, and there's a whole lot of 4 and 5 drops you can't play anymore.
Oh yeah,
because Mice is so good, right? And the other, mono white cards came out that kind of pushed this out of the engine, right? There's just too many. Caretaker's Talent comes out, and like, what's a Sarah Paragon? So
yeah.
Exactly. I think that I like your point, though. I like using this as kind of a jumping off point to discuss that. I think there are a lot of cards that we could revisit during Standard that maybe being locked in on a certain meta is not a good thing, most of the time. Like Sarah Paragon's been there the whole time. She's been worth trying, I think, the entire time. And we just kind of like, in some ways, forgot about this card. And we do that with too many cards. We assume a meta is this way, when I think that there's always strategies that could push the meta in one direction or another. And we just kind of accept that the meta is one way when we shouldn't. Right. So I don't know if that's what you were trying to say, but that's kind of what I took from it. It was beautiful in my mind. I think that not just with Sarah Paragon, but there's plenty of cards about to rotate that like could have had a shot at some point, that we just never really gave that chance. But
it's kind of the good and bad part of a 3-year Standard, right? Like we get to make all of these cool decks, and our favorite decks live longer, and we can keep trying new stuff with it to elevate them. But also there's enough cards that sometimes not everything that can be good at the same time. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird how much like a really deep Standard with a bunch of cards actually cuts off a lot of options. Because once you have, 6 or 7 cards that are just the best cards in Standard, it's like, well, we'll just build all our decks around these, and there's no reason to play any of these other cards.
Yeah, I think there's still room for a lot of decks. I just think individual cards. Like, for example, we have stock up now, so you're just not going to play anything else that draws cards, right?
Yep.
If anything, it's 4 stock up and 2 of something else, right?
Yeah.
But stock up eats those spots, unless you specifically need something that like put stuff in the graveyard or whatever the case is. Right?
Whatever it is. Like right now you see a lot of opt and sleight of hand, but that's just because they're really cheap and they help you cast your second spell and whatever. It's not because they're
easy. That's the thing.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a good point. When you see a card that is so good that you don't have to play other cards, you know what I mean? Like other cards that do that thing. It's like Go for the Throat and Cut Down were such important removal spells that it's not like we didn't see other removal spells, Nowhere to Run and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Glitching would pop up. But, Cut Down and Go for the Throat are so good that you really don't have to think beyond 4 Cut Down, 4 Go for the Throat. You don't really have to have more removal than that. We're about to see what happens when you don't have those cards. But, again, I think that, we just kind of accept that certain cards are the best cards and we don't really go beyond.
Oh, yeah. That's a teaser. If you want to hear us complain about some stuff, check out the other video because there's a lot that I'm going to be happy are gone.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Honestly, that one was a tough one for me to make, too. But the ones that are on there were like slam dunks. Like, get out of my Standard. Yeah,
for sure.
Right. What is your number 4, my friend?
Number 4, I'm cheating a little bit here, but I'm putting a whole category of cards together.
Oh, okay.
But the Painlands, where we're talking about Brushland, Battlefield Forge, whoever. Losing those is a pretty big deal.
Yep. Don't we also lose the fast lands? Do we? I feel like we,
because half of them are also in the Outlaws.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, good point.
So that's going to be tough for at least the first couple of months because we don't know if the extra. Well, we're getting some shock lands. We're getting 5 of them.
5 shocks, yeah.
The other 5 means they'll likely be around very soon. It's just a matter of they're probably not in Spider-Man because they don't make sense.
Yeah.
Right? They could potentially be an avatar because it would help move that set around the
Yeah.
holidays, make sure it sells, whatever. If not, they will for sure be in Lorwyn. So my guess is we'll be without them for probably around 3-ish months.
Yeah.
If not, we'll be without them till February, late January, early February, right?
There you go.
So that's kind of what it looks like. And it's going to make some 3-color decks a little tough because, where you're playing multiple things that have like double color pips in them or whatever, it's going to get a little more difficult. We do still have some of the Verges. We still have the
Yeah.
Surveil lands. We still have starting town, so there's things that can make it work, and I think they'll still be around. It just won't be as easy as it is right now.
Yeah, I was going to bring up starting town. I think that's going to be even more of an all-star after the Painlands rotate. And like you brought up the Verges, and those will get better because we'll have shocks, and those have the proper land types. So, hopefully things work out here. But, I'm also kind of, weirdly, I was hoping that one of us had, because I didn't put Painlands on my list. So I was kind of hoping that you did that. So I'm glad you did. This is a wonderful pick. Yeah, I'll miss these an awful lot too, not just in like 2 and 3 color aggro decks that I'm trying to brew up, but just like everything. It turns out that a lot of decks will play at least a couple of Painlands, like even
For
control
sure.
from time to time. And they will be severely like missed. I agree. 100%.
So that brings us to your number 4.
My number 4, this was my number 5 a minute ago before I had to cut Voldaren Thrillseeker from my list. So the reason it was my number 5 was kind of the same reason that your number 5 was your number 5. Because this card has kind of annoyed me enough that like I don't have to have it in standard anymore. It's kind of fine. But I also will miss playing with Italy very, very much.
Funny. That was also on my list.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where was Italy on yours?
It was my number 2.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, and you are, it's not necessarily a dragon, but it's close enough to a dragon that I assume that you would like it. Yeah, what a fun card to resolve, like it's not necessarily the best reanimation target in standard, right? But it's easily the most fun one. You know what I mean? Like it's got an element of gambling to it. Let's spin the wheel, baby.
Go big or go home.
is great. And oh my God, what's her name? The giant angel, Atraxa. She's great, right? But sometimes I don't want like the best option. Sometimes I just want to have like the most fun. And honestly, Italy meets at a good crossroads between like an actual really good reanimation option. Like it's no joke. This will end the game, but also we're having fun on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? Like I really like playing Italy a lot. I'm going to miss her.
Yeah, and I think that's another card that comes around to how we play it differently now, right? Like when it started, we're like, okay, let's ramp up and do this crazy big thing, or it was like the backbone to a big dinosaur ramp deck or whatever. And now it's kind of like, all right, can we zombify it?
Yeah. Yep. God, I agree with that so much. There's something to be said for Wizards putting cards in the format that are just like too simple, like the simplest version of the best thing you can do. And so you just do that. And it is kind of boring because you're right. We used to like cheat this into play. We used to fight rigging this into play. We used to, reanimate it in more fun ways. We used to somehow there's the ramp this into play was fun. You're right. The dinosaur decks with the tally at the top end, like this card used to do like a lot of just giant bombastic things. And you're right. Now it's just a zombify target. And that is kind of lame.
I think that's the other thing too. You pointed out a really good thing of how long some of these cards have been in standard now. Like we were playing this with fight rigging.
Yeah.
There's people who have started
think about
that have never, they don't even know what a fight rigging is that we're talking about right now. Right? Like that's how crazy the situation is.
But we were doing it, and we were doing a lot with this card at one point.
Yeah.
But it isn't the same as it was. Harry Styles was right.
Yeah.
But this is one that I will forever hold in my heart, and another one that I think I'll probably encounter on a commander table somewhere someday. And I'll be happy.
It's still going to be on commander tables for sure.
Right,
for sure.
So I'm not happy to send it off, but at the same time, it's been resolved against me enough time that I'm like, okay, I lost the game because of tally. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it can leave, and that's whatever. Who cares? So we are on, I think, your number 3 at this point.
My number 3, this is an interesting one, especially because of the timing of Edge of Eternities.
Ooh, okay.
But Brotherhoods End.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly because this felt like one of the most fair versions of this type of card, right? Because we get stuff that like deals 1 to everything, deals 2 to everything. We get some things occasionally that deal 3 or more to everything, but they have some like weird stipulation or you have to jump through
Yeah.
hoops. And this was like the most basic one that even when I was playing a creature deck, I wasn't upset the opponent had this card. You know what I mean? Like you knew it was possibly there and they got double red plus something and you're kind of dancing around it. And if your opponent didn't have a bunch of creatures, you can get rid of artifacts with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
especially
you
against
do
decks that are
against like
making tons of treasures and maps and all that stuff or whatever, you know. So yeah, this was just a good, useful card. Almost ended up in the world slightly underplayed recently. But yeah, definitely one that I will probably miss going, especially I to be real, I also have some hate for the simulacrum decks.
yeah.
So,
I was gonna bring that up. Yep.
you
Yep.
know, like Brotherhood's End was always a good answer for those
Yeah.
decks.
Yeah, we've got a new answer in Edge of Eternities that's similar to Brotherhood's End. It costs the same amount of mana, it's the same speed, but rather than dealing 3 damage to each creature, that option is 3 damage to each opponent. So it's just like flat worse. No one's going to
Yeah.
play it. But the other option is like exile all the artifacts, mana value 3 or less. So if you need to play it against Synthesizer, we still have a sideboard option. But weirdly, I feel like Brotherhood's End is a card, and I'm not sure if it's the same guy commenting this over and over, but I think I have a pretty regular commenter in my comment section saying that they can't wait for this card to rotate. And I was always like, every time I see the comment, I'm like, how come? You know what I mean? Like this,
Yeah.
of all the sweepers that you could hate in standard, why this one? I feel like this effect started sometime around Anger of the Gods, and it was just this mana cost, deal 3 to everything. And this is one of the more powerful versions of this effect in red that we've seen, and we don't really have a replacement for it. You know, there's fire magic. We're getting a new thing in Edge of Eternities. It's like 3 mana instant speed, give yourself a lander token, then sack an artifact. If you do, 2 damage to everything. So we're seeing this effect at 3 mana in red right now, but it's largely 2 damage. The ability to deal 3 is incredible. I played this in a bunch of big red decks, teamer decks that needed, you know, a low to the ground sweeper. I played this in. So I'm going to kind of miss that as an option as well. So I really, yeah, good include here. If you're going to put one sweeper on this list, it's Brotherhood's End.
Yeah. For
Absolutely.
me, for sure.
All day. Good call on that. Yeah.
All right. So what do you got next?
Number 3 is one of my favorite little guys in standard. I will occasionally try to build like a mono blue mid-range deck. You know, we're not talking aggro or tempo. We're talking just like fat blue cards. And one of my auto includes in that deck for the last few years has been Surge Engine, the little engine that could
Oh
right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, this is a jank all-star right here, baby. Gets through unblocked is actually a pretty aggressive cost. You know, you're getting through for 5 damage without having to pay too much mana. And eventually, in a long game, draws you a bunch of cards. Can't be hit by Go for the Throat. Like there's a lot of really cool stuff about this guy. And this is one of those creatures that I feel like could have been better than we gave it credit for. But you know, the Demir decks have access to a lot of really good twos, you know,
Yeah.
fair, you know, so this thing really faced a lot of competition in a lot of decks that it would otherwise go in. But I've always really, really liked Surge Engine. My chat will tell you that when I'm streaming. I just throw this into random crap because I like the card so much. So we're like literally friends, and I'm gonna miss it for that reason.
I'm with you though. I think it's one of those cards again that just the longer things went on, especially and again to some extent, you know, the pre-ban situation, your cards almost had to become more efficient, right? You
Yeah.
couldn't play a card that couldn't just attack, right? That you had to spend mana on and do whatever, right? Because you needed things that just did stuff when you got them, right?
Right.
Because you didn't
Immediately.
have time to mess around. Right? You needed the most efficient 1, 2, and 3 mana things. You know, in a lot of decks, there's some that still were slower, but generally speaking, you couldn't play that type of card anymore. Like the only benefit it
Yep.
had was you couldn't kill it with Go for the Throat. You know,
Yeah.
right? Like that's all it had going for it.
That's why I pointed it out, is because like that's the best thing about the card, really.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
really
mean?
it at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you. This was a fun card that I think we sort of forgot about and just doesn't show up anymore, which is very sad.
Yeah. So like I think I have played this within the last like 3 months because I love him. But do you remember when you bring up an interesting point? Do you remember when Evolved Sleeper was a really, really good one drop in like all the black
Oh
decks?
yeah,
Yeah, the little cleric guy that you can like level up by paying mana or
I
whatever.
actually had somebody play that against me last week, and I was like, "Oh,
Ooh,
somebody's actually playing this card."
hey, little guy.
Yeah.
I forgot about you for a second there. Yeah, these guys like this that kind of again like sort of level up or whatever. They used to be a little better in a standard that was more like value based and all that. But now things are really powerful for the last year or so. And yeah, this dude, no one ever plays him against me, but I will say he's gotten me a lot of nices. I play him
Oh,
against
sure.
other people, and people are like, "Oh, nice, yeah, that guy."
Dude,
So
let me tell you this, like,
we're all gonna miss him on some level.
it's been so long since somebody played it against me that I actually almost forgot how it worked. Like, I forgot the actual cost. I'm like, "Oh, well, they could spend 2 mana here." Like, why didn't they? Oh, they have to pay 3. Why did I think it
Yeah,
was 2? Right? Like,
2.
yeah, I just literally forgot, like, because I hadn't seen the card in so long.
It happens, man. Especially with crap like this that was never actually good in the first place. I just really like it, and I wanted a spot on my list for a card like that.
Well,
So
it was solid, especially when you got late game alongside Shieldred, because now you're just gaining a point every time you draw a card, and
yeah,
it had a point in standard, but it was really good.
yeah, I miss that. I mean, I kind of remember it, you know. But we are on. Are we on your number two?
Yeah,
But
number 2.
your number two would have been a tally, right?
Yep.
Yep. So that means number one on your end, unless you
Weird.
have like one on the bench.
No, this is I'm prepared, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah,
We're gonna go with Knight Errant of Eos.
this is okay. Sick. Okay.
Mostly because like, I will say the one deck we didn't like seeing it in was the Boros Hyper Aggro, whatever.
Yeah,
It was super
recruiter.
annoying in that deck. But it was kind of a cool card that found its way into a lot of random like aggro decks, right? You did the Selesnya aggro stuff, it found its way into rabbits,
Yeah,
which is
rabbits. Yeah.
pretty wild,
There's
right?
kind of a blue white aggro deck that plays this guy too.
Yeah, there was an
Yeah.
early like knight-ish style deck that played it as well. So lots of fun stuff this card allowed you to do. It was a little bit of like a comeback mechanic as well, where you could just like, all right, I'm gonna load my hand with 2 extra bodies just in case a sweeper happens next turn. Right. There was lots of little stuff this card allowed decks to do. And it's gonna be kind of sad to see this one go because it's just an all-around quality card. It wasn't unfair. It was just very good. And that's where I kind of want a lot of my cards to be. They don't have to be superstar. Just be really good, fill a role. If you're a creature, help the creature decks out. If you're a spell, help the slower decks out, whatever. But yeah, I'm here for this card.
I was hoping this would happen with at least one entry. This is on my cards that I can't wait to rotate list.
Totally
This is on my
understand.
other list.
Totally
Um,
understand.
I get it though. I get it. It's a really fun card. It felt great for aggro decks to have like a giant body that restocks,
Yeah.
like it's not often that aggro gets both those things on one card, and that's why it's so powerful and also kind of annoying. I think that it's great when it's your like turn 3, turn 4 refill, something like that. You're getting back in the game, making sure you're not too low on cards. But too often, this thing comes down to like turn 2. Like there's too many lines in standard that give an opponent this before you've even played your second land, and now they even have more cards in hand than you, and it's just like that's where I hate it. Like I think the recruiter decks were enough to get me to
Oh, sure. And that's the deck
yeah,
nobody likes the card in. I totally
right,
agree. Yeah.
right. And that's the deck that I saw it in the most often. And I honestly don't mind. Like, I know you've got recruiter. You're going to play it on turn 3 or turn 4. You're going to try to win the game that way. Like, that's fine to me. That's fair, even. This always felt less fair. Like, turn 1, play a guy, then turn 2, you somehow get this like gleeful demolition, and then you tap your 1 white mana and all 4 of your guys, and you get this on turn 2. And it's just, it never actually felt fair. And I'm not trying to like grouse or whine, but
No,
like,
totally fine.
turn 2, 4/4 draw 2 is freaking insane, and I don't think the card was meant to do that. It just like does do that. So
I mean, I will say this for the card. It's largely lost favor in a lot of decks because of stuff like Bright Glass Gear Hulk and things like that, where you can just like tutor a couple of cards instead of
yeah,
just like, maybe I hit, maybe I don't, maybe I get just whatever's there if it's good or not. Right. So some decks have moved away just because they can afford the mana to play other stuff and you can get cool late game effects. But yeah, just I totally get it, and we talked about this pre-show, for the listeners here, but or viewers, I guess. But there's a point
They're
where
all listeners. They're doing their dishes.
exactly.
They're faking work. They're cooking. They're listeners.
But when we were making these lists, one of the things I encountered is there's a lot of cards that I kind of had a love-hate relationship with. There's a bunch that I
Yeah.
said, I like these cards, but at the same time, maybe we've seen enough of them. It's
Yeah.
okay for them to go. Or some that like, I like these cards, but they've kind of been twisted into something I don't like anymore. Right.
Hmm.
So a lot of cards that you're going to see on our we're glad to see go list, some of them kind of started out on my like, oh, I like this card. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm putting it in the other pile.
Yeah, there's at least 3 on my, cards I sort of don't like list or whatever we're going to end up calling that. There's like 3 on there that like I've had some good times with, like I'm going to miss
Mhm.
them on some level, but I'd rather they be gone. And Knight Errant is it's all day. It's indicative of that. That is a banner card for that. I want that card gone so bad, dude. And honestly, it doesn't even really get played against me that much, but like every time it does, I'm like, oh god,
Yeah, like
recurring
what's
nightmare
about to
kind of thing.
happen?
Yeah, it's bad.
All right. So what's
How bad.
your I guess we're at your number 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is a card that, it'll pop up against you in the arena every now and again, but I've always loved this as the sort of go over the top option in everything from a 3-color mid-range deck that happens to include green to a mono green ramp deck. This is Nissa Ascended
Oh
Animist.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have played this thing back and forth over and over. This might be, at the end of the day, my favorite Planeswalker in Standard, and she's gone in like a week. That's really sad, man. I play this in so much. Again, whether you somehow cheat it in or ramp it in on turn 5 or something. Everything she does is great. She makes a huge creature every turn, or she casts Overrun the turn she comes into play, and you just win the game. Wonderful over the top option that I don't really think got its due, maybe because green wasn't popular enough or mono red was too popular and you just can't play cards like this or what have you. There was a point, again, you've said this a couple times, where this card was better than it is now,
Oh
or
yeah,
better
for
than it
sure.
was just before the bans or whatever. But I don't know. Every time I'm putting together a deck that's like nominally mid range, and I'm thinking like, I need some sort of like late game option. Like if the deck has forests, I think of Nissa because this card is just so good. But it, like you said a second ago, like this is a card to me that never felt unfair. If I know my opponent's trying to get to it and they get to it, I'm like, well, I lost to Nissa. You know what I mean? Oh well,
You
I'll see
know,
you next time.
even with the Phyrexian mana, I'm sitting here thinking about it, but it might be one of the more fair but still very useful planeswalkers, right?
Yeah,
Because I feel like we get some that are either really, really strong and doing some over the top stuff in the decks they go in, or they're just like, this is never really quite good enough. We're not really going to play this, right?
yeah, yep.
And Nissa feels like one of the ones that fits squarely in the middle, right? You could get it for 5 mana, but if you get it for 7 mana, right? Like
Yeah,
it,
you win the game if you get it for 7
now
mana.
it
Yeah.
could be a game ender, but it might just be a quality utility card that's just picking off a couple of enchantments for a couple of turns.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
so
Yeah, don't
all
forget that mode. That mode's really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
really good all around planeswalker. Never really felt busted,
Yeah.
unless it's literally like they had 6 or 7 dudes and ramped up to it and then they just killed you, right?
Yeah. What are you gonna do about that?
Yeah,
Right.
but even now we're doing that with Elspeth. We're just giving everything flying and attacking with +1 or whatever.
Yep.
So not that much worse. And Elspeth's way easier to cast in most cases to get that effect. So like, yeah, I think that's a totally reasonable one to want to have on your list here. Like I've played with it a lot, still enjoy the card, but yeah, we are at that point where we're just doing other things now.
Yeah. I just felt like, I guess last thing on this, I felt like almost every deck has a mode that's, well, let me put it this way. Every deck scoops to a mode on this card. Like whether it's the sweeper heavy or control-y decks that, can't stand the 8/8 every turn that she makes while plussing. Or it's like the caretaker's talent decks or the more artifact reliant decks. They fold to that the mode that cast disenchant. And then other decks just die to the ultimate. So it's just, again, it does something against everything. And I
Yeah,
love that about her. I really do. Just gonna miss her. As far as any other planeswalker that's rotating, you kind of brought this up, but there's a lot of planeswalkers that are rotating, and half of them are just like, well, they look good at first, but they don't do enough. And Nissa always did exactly enough, right? So
yeah, no, and you were never upset to have it at any point. That
More or
was the
less.
thing.
Yeah, there
You
are
liked
definitely
it at
times.
every stage of the game.
Yeah, like I'll take it for 5 and just start cranking out guys.
Oh yeah.
You have to answer that. you know. But I think that we are at your number 1, if I'm not mistaken.
My number one.
He didn't tell me he was going to do that.
King Darius Extra Large the Eighth. Like
That's
I
a good one.
had to. It had to be my number one, right? And the funny thing about this card for me is it started out with me just goofing off on one of the early streams after the card released. And I can't remember why I said it, but like I just, for whatever reason, instead of just saying King Darius the 14th or whatever, like I was like,
Whatever it is, the 40th.
I read it as just being funny and saying extra large the fourth because I thought it would be humorous.
That I've never heard anybody do that for some reason, and it was very funny.
Yeah, so it sort of just became a bit. But the amount of engagement I got because of it, the number of people that be like, I don't know how you can't read Roman numerals, and like I would legitly believe that card says extra large the fourth,
right,
or extra large the eighth or whatever it is, right? I was
you didn't even know you were baiting people.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently you were.
Like, there's no way you believe I honestly think that, right? Like, but apparently I was wrong. Like, everybody had to come in and try to be right, but like. Well, as far as what the card did, it actually was functional. I used it in a lot of decks. The extra +1 was nice. Like sometimes getting to save tokens was also randomly cool. So like that was a good benefit. But like yeah. But yeah, King Darius, extra large 8th, King Darian, sorry, got to get his name right. And I told people it's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the whole damn thing.
The whole thing.
Right? Yeah. So yeah. I've had so much fun with this card. Just
I can tell you've got multiple bits with it that are amazing.
Oh yeah, just the things it allowed us to do, making your team bigger, and you didn't have to commit to the board. You could just spend 5 mana, get extra +1/+1s, and get an extra soldier token.
Yep, and you can do that like EOT, right? Like
yeah,
yeah, it's pretty good.
So yeah, just an all around useful card. That again, I think over time we've just gotten such good things at 3 and 4 mana. We've gotten away from playing it, but. Yeah, he's gone, but not forgotten over on my channel. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I played King D to D. Old Darius Rucker. I played him in a bunch of like Abzan Legend decks. And he's always fantastic. Just a 3-mana anthem is fine. The mode that makes tokens is fine. If he's a good mana sink in that way. Yeah, I've always had a healthy amount of respect for this card. Did not think to put him on my list, but I'm really glad that you did.
Yeah, he was easily, when I was thinking about cards you're gonna miss, easily number one. Like this card has created way more engagement for me in just accidentally than any other thing I could probably come up with. Like such a dumb bit, but people loved it. So you know what? One more time, we're just gonna see him out. Like, love you, King Darian, extra large the 8th. Hopefully I get to play with you again in another format.
Hopefully I'll get a soundboard one day. It's the most fun I've ever seen a person have. Honestly, my number 1 is kind of a similar track to yours, right? In that you picked kind of the card that you as a content creator have kind of been attached to, kind of been associated with in some ways, the one that you have all the bits with or whatever. And my number 1, again, I think that everyone watching my channel will probably
be able
to call this. Yeah,
yeah.
It's my fiance. We never actually got married, but one day we'll set a date. Because we can still meet in Commander. We can still meet in Historic Brawl. It's Ellis Ilcor, Sadistic Pilgrim, and every single person on the internet saw that coming that watches me. So, a good 7 or 8 people saw that coming. I would say that I still played this in Standard as recently as like 2 days ago. I play this on Arena. I still play Raise the Past most days that I load Arena. I've got like a Sephiroth deck that I play like every other time I load the Arena. So if I am going to play Arena on a given day, there is like a 70% chance that I will resolve this card. Or greater, honestly. I brought her to shuffle up and play. I have she's maybe one of my first Commander decks I really like built in paper and paid attention to building, built with my heart. You know what I mean? She might be possibly My favorite Magic card of all time, and I've been playing for 30 years.
That's
This
fair.
year, yeah.
That's fair.
I don't know that I've ever encountered a card I love more than LSO Core. You know, there's a reason she's my fiance. I truly, really, actually love this card, and we will meet again. We'll be in Historic Brawl or just Brawl, I think they call it now, together. But no more Standard, and that
Yeah,
is
I
really
just played
sad.
with it in a deck a couple of days ago myself, and it wasn't a Raise the Past deck, so there's that.
Yeah,
It was just a life gain deck, doing some fun things. But yeah, useful card, efficiently costed, does multiple things for 2 mana. Even having Death Touch just made it hard where your opponents didn't want to attack sometimes. Like just lots of stuff going on. Just a quality card all
yeah.
around. And it's also the type of card or type of legend, I'll even say, that you're not going to get a total replacement for, right? Because it
Nope.
gains life coming, it removes life going, it has Death Touch, it's only 2 mana. Like you're just not going to find something like that. So
Yep.
good run, filled a lot of roles, fit a lot of different decks.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's a good one.
It's like there's, like a Legends deck that just as recently as this past week on MTGO popped off, and it's doing the old like loop 2 Rutstein's trick,
Oh yeah, yeah.
where you just get a bunch of triggers off Sephiroth, and Elisil Core was in that deck too. Because again, it's just effectively infinite Rutsteins the way they're doing it. And Elisil Core was good for those loops. So whether it was in like wacky, basically infinite combo deck strings from, Slimefoot the Stowaway all the way up to like these Joda decks nowadays, to just more buttoned up Aristocrats decks that are trying to do Aristocrats the fair way, all the way to Aristocrats combo decks like Raise the Past. Like she's been in a lot of stuff without ever really like, she was never at all the top tables in Standard at any given time, but
Yeah.
she's been a role player in enough things that I feel like, we can say she saw play in Standard. And she's still like $2 to get a copy of right now, which, means that I'm not the only one that loves her in Commander. There are people playing her there too. So,
Oh yeah. Well, Aristocrats decks and Commander love that type of card.
oh yeah. I mean, she's my commander in my Aristocrats deck. And she always will be. I don't see myself swapping her out unless they print something somehow even more absurd for Aristocrats decks. Just an efficient card at 2 mana, a Soul Warden and a Blood Artist kind of slapped together, and those are 2 of my favorite cards of all time. And I will never not want to play this card in Standard. And it doesn't look like it's ever really going to get reprinted into Standard because it's got, it's a legend with a very specific name and it's Phyrexian and all that. So who knows? But I'm gonna miss her. I'm gonna miss her maybe more than any card I've ever missed rotating out of Standard in the last 30 years I've been playing Magic. So love you, girl. But we'll meet again. I'll take you out on a Saturday night. We'll go play some Commander, But that is all the chords for this video,
Yeah.
at least. Yeah, we got like 6 more videos to record or something like that. So there's going to be a lot more content for you guys. Don't worry about that. But for now, just let us know what cards you're going to miss. Because I think there's a lot that we could have put on our list that just like,
for sure.
We've only got 5 slots. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that if you want to give a little eulogy for it down there, go ahead and do that. We would appreciate it. But Guan, you got anything to say? Where can the people find you, my friend?
Over at my channel, it's PowrDragn, and come be part of closing in on 6 years of daily YouTube videos. We're over for March will be 6 years, I think, when we get there. So yeah, come over, have some fun. We've got stuff every day, all kinds of things going on, and crazy decks that we're even crushing Mythic with. You should come check it out.
Yep, he's got great decks over there. You guys like to see me build jank decks. Often we lose with them and stuff. You want to see a guy win with some jank decks? Because subscribe to PowrDragn
stuff.
Yeah, man. Especially lately, it seems like you've been
yeah,
blazing through there. But anyway, guys, just do all the YouTube stuff on your way out. Hit the button shaped like a thumb. You can subscribe to the sandwich if you feel like it. Trying to get to 150K. We're only like 12K away. Sounds like a lot, but we can do it together. I feel your hands on my back, and I appreciate that. You can also check out the Patreon. $1 a month is all it takes to get involved. You can help vote on what decks we do first for Edge of Eternity Standard. It's patreon.com/SBMTG. Pretty easy to remember, and nothing else in the entire world is $1. I'm the only thing that costs $1, and I'm worth more than that, but I'm not going to charge more than that. So check out the link in the description if you're interested, and that is going to be Allski Kowalski. We will see you guys in the next one. I'm Deb from The Place. His name's PowrDragn. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.